Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Heads Up Hockey. It has been an interesting offseason, and I can't believe, free agent frenzy's pretty much over, and the NHL draft has concluded, but I will say this, the development camp is definitely looking and sounding very, very positive. And, over the years, you probably heard me say this time in and time again before, is that you got to build from within, you got to develop, you got to make sure each player is assessed properly. And this starts well before any kid going to play in juniors, a developmental league, that is, or another pro league, and that pro league's second tier team, which is a development path for those players to play at the highest level. Well, I want to throw in a few things here and there, like a player of Lenny Haminaho, the Finnish winger from Esat in Finland, in Liga. He definitely was a diamond in the rough type player. He is starting to learn how to skate a bit cleaner and more efficiently. I definitely like the way he uses his hands in his practice game on the 3v3 and on that penalty shot. I think he's got a lot of upside. And as long as he continues improving his skating, he could be a mid-round steal. And the Devils scouts know under Mark Dennehy and Paul Castron what they are looking for. They basically said in the interview under Dennehy that they're looking for players with really good hockey sense, so to speak, like really, really smart players. It's not easy to find those really smart players, but when you come across them, you got to grab them, because imagine that player fills out physically and mentally, and they do well scoring or defending-wise. They can essentially be the key pieces to keeping your playoff window open longer, along with the cap hit and all that other good stuff. And down the road, when guys like Dougie Hamilton leave, Johnny Marino, down the road, I'm not talking 2 years, I'm talking 5-8 years from now. It's important to keep planning ahead when you have other guys like Simon Nemec and Luke Hughes and Kevin Ball as the younger guys behind Jonas Siegenthaler, and pretty much you just want to keep the flow of players coming in and out. You want to make sure you're not going to fall behind the times. And, not to self-plug, but I did write a projections article over on Pucks and Pitchforks about why I have the Devils going second and potentially first. Potentially, I said. So, with that being the idea, the general idea is you want to win as many games as possible. Do I see them winning? That's my dog, Charlie, right there. I honestly see the Devils doing a better job of closing out games, scoring that first goal and keeping a lead and doing what they can do. So I think this team going forward with a few more veterans that they added and bringing in that Tyler Toffoli type player does bring a presence on the right side of the right wing, because one of my critiques of last year's team was for the Devils that they had too many left-handed shooters. I don't like to discriminate towards handedness, but you need a different angle. And every angle can be changed and affected a game within a fraction of a second. Just think about that. Imagine that slight degree from the right wing from a left-handed shooter was just the opposite from a right-handed shooter. Now that's something to think about. So that's one of those heads-up hockey type of analyses that I like to think of personally. But you have the Devils bringing in a couple of youngsters, and it seems like maybe Lindy Ruff doesn't want to play Hughes and Nemec on the same line, but it sounds more like they can possibly play split roles on lines 3 and 2, and maybe lines 1 and 2, so on and so forth. Now, a team like Carolina barely changed personnel, but there's still the question of the aging of the goaltenders. And that's something that I kind of have a slightly orange-red flag for. Because you just don't know when goaltenders get older, their bodies start to wear and tear. I've seen it before. Corey Schneider, matter of fact, when it came to him being played more games, played more ice time in net, and taking more loads of work, that drove him into the ground. That made him play like an older goalie. And that was very sad. Just a good iced coffee right there. But I will be blunt that I feel very good about this Devils roster, especially with Colin Miller. I think he's a really good piece to have, especially someone on the side of Luke Hughes. And I can see Siegenthaler having Simon Nemec on his wing and vice versa. Just seeing what Lindy Ruff does throughout the season. I can see Nemec starting out the first quarter of the season in Utica, but gets called up within that time frame. At worst, he gets called up within the halfway point, and he makes a huge impact. I honestly like to see more out of the New York Rangers in their goaltending, because we all know what Igor Shesterkin is. He is one of the top 5, top 10 goals save above average and expected goals saved above average goalies in the NHL. And that's a fact. But what isn't a true strength for the Rangers is their backup. And I know they got Jonathan Quick from the LA Kings, but Aiden Hill won the Stanley Cup majority of the games in net for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. You can't really give Jonathan Quick all that much credit. He played in some games, but not that many. And honestly, Jonathan Quick isn't the same Jonathan Quick as he was in 2012 and 2014. So this is a different standard. The Rangers are basically paying for a name that was a big name, but he used to be a big name. He's just a household name. The Rangers are starting to look older with Bonino. They have Artemi Panarin. Yes, they still have Mika Zibanejad. I understand that. And Chris Kreider. We all know what he does. But as you get older in the 30s at today's NHL, you're going up against guys that are 18, 25 years old, that age. They're going to run you out of the building most of the year. And for those younger players that have played in the Stanley Cup playoffs, they're going to learn how to readapt their games into being more physical finesse types. So where I'm trying to go is the Rangers do have very good defense, but their forward core is starting to age and not look as sharp. I mean, they're going to have to make the most perfect shot as possible, but they need to have grit. They don't have enough grit for me to want them to put them at second in the division. I can still see the Rangers making one of the 2 wild card spots, to be honest, to be quite frank. And I'm a Devils fan. As much as I want to admit it, I have to admit it in a podcast sense where I have to be realistic. I can't lie about that. The New York Islanders, they are an interesting group. I understand Lou Lamoriello's system. He's done so much for the Devils in the past, but not in the recent years under the Devils. But he has done a good job of keeping the Islanders competitive. But there are some long-term contracts that are questionable. But he has certainly made the right move to bring in a guy like a Bo Horvat. But I digress because that's a long-term contract, and that is really well justified for what the cost basis was for guys like Anthony Beauvillier and a Atu Ratu type player. I still think the Islanders have a better defensive structure from their original defense. And I also like the setup a little bit of the Islanders on the forward core. Their goaltending is phenomenal. I just think that they're 1 or 2 key players away from being a better team than last year because they just barely made the wild card. And I'll be honest, the Capitals could be a 5th or 6th place team depending on how the Pittsburgh Penguins play out. The only reason why I have the Capitals at 5th in my projections is because of the near-term prospects that are on ELC, like Miroshnichenko and a couple other guys, like McMichael. And the Capitals have more capital to use and inject youth in their lineup during an 82-game season. And I can see that being a thing with the Capitals, but their goaltending, like having Darcy Kemper, I understand he and Francouz did well in Colorado, but to be fair, he's not the goalie he used to be. Francouz was the guy. Kemper was good enough to help them clinch. And Kemper is on the downhill in his career. But I like the Capitals better than the Penguins. The Penguins are starting to get less depth on their blue line. They're looking more so for shooting the puck rather than blocking shots and being more defensive minded. That's a big problem. I understand they got Ryan Graves and Jeff Petrie, but Ryan Graves is a very good defensive player, but sometimes he makes a misread a couple of times here and there, and he misses a loose puck, and it ends up back in the net. And Pittsburgh's got some questionable goaltending. I mean, there's rumors of them wanting to move on from one goalie for another, and I understand DeSmith and Jari been around a while, but someone else, I heard rumor of John Gibson is out there. I don't know how much that would still change, even if the trade occurred. But to be the one of pessimism, the Blue Jackets they're gonna look terrible, but they're gonna play more competitive than they did last year. I expect them to win a few more games. But I like the Adam Fantilli pick. I really think it's pretty bold. And even if he does go back to the University of Michigan, he's going to be one hell of a forward, regardless if he plays center or wing. To me, he's a true play driver. He's that piss and vinegar type of guy. And I agree. I see that Columbus is getting better in the draft. They're looking to be a really, really darn good team in the next 5 to 8 seasons. I can see it. I can smell it. The Flyers, all they have right now is Carter Hart in net and whoever they got as a goalie. And to me, like, their forward group looks like they can have 2 good lines, but the bottom 6 is not something that's going to scare the crap out of you for the winter game on February 17th against the Devils. That's something that you circle on your calendar and says, beat me. All I have is grit and not enough depth and skill. And the only way that the Flyers look any good is that someone like a Carter Hart has to steal every puck possible against a very steep New Jersey Devils roster. And if the Devils embarrass the Flyers in that winter game, I can guarantee there's going to be less outdoor games and less coverage of the Philadelphia Flyers. So that's just something that I can see happening. I would like to see more so the Columbus Blue Jackets with the offseason that they had. They could surprise me and move up to 5th if they win maybe 8 more games than, let's say, Pittsburgh. And I hope I'm wrong with a few predictions, but if the Devils overtake Carolina, and Carolina is one of those teams that's like, oh, we're going to look good as we did last year. Chatfield looks good, so on and so forth. Stahl here and there, Jordan Stahl. Or Eric Stahl. Too many Stahl brothers. Eric Stahl. And Eric Stahl looks good, or God, I'm getting old. Too many Stahl brothers. I can't keep track. It's not like the Sedins where they're just twins because they all play on the same team. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the Metropolitan. I still think the Bruins will be a really good team, but I don't think they'll win the President's Trophy. Jim Montgomery will get a lot out of his players. And yes, they do have Jesper Boqvist on that Bruins roster. I said before in an article on Pucks and Pitchforks that whoever gets Jesper Boqvist from the Devils can potentially get a 15, 22 goal scoring, 25, 45 point player. And it's possible. It's not out of the realm. It's just that he plays in the wrong system. And he's going to play in a better environment in Boston with Pavel Zacha. Plus, he's got David Pastrnak to play with, and then then you got Linus Ullmark as your goaltender, Jeremy Swayman in net. And honestly, I mean, it's going to be a good year for the Bruins, but I'm not sure how it'll turn out if they don't have most of their core going forward, especially with Pastrnak taking up over $11 million in cap space. I just think that Tampa Bay is still going to be pretty good. They traded away Patrick Maroon, so they're going to look a little faster. They traded away Ross Colton, and I think he's still a target that the Devils could go after if Colorado has a down year. I still think Nashville is going to be pretty much on the down low, and I hate to say it, but they do have some interesting pieces I think Tom Fitzgerald would like to trade for with Barry Trotz. So that's just something in a nutshell. And the Devils do have some interesting pieces to play with, and they can grow their team in and out. And a team like the Seattle Kraken, they're looking to build off last year's roster with a few slight different players, and they could definitely go a little bit deeper than some teams expect them to for the playoffs. And having a guy like Beniers around, it really helps. When you start as a franchise, you are able to draft those high-end picks there. It's going to make you look good, play good, and build a really good locker room. I mean, you have guys that are similar to a Nico Hischier and a Jack Hughes, and once you start adding more playoff-bound guys who know what it takes to win, it does change the locker room, and it builds the kind of culture that your team has going. And it makes it a better destination for players that would otherwise say, I don't want to go there. Oh, now I want to go there. Now this is a guy I would like to play for. This is a GM I really respect. This is an owner I really like. So this is something that has done the same for the Devils. And it can happen just for any team. It doesn't have to be for New Jersey or Seattle or... I understand Winnipeg is trying to retool, but it's going to be a little harder to, especially with a year left of Connor Hellebuck. And I'm not sure if he goes to New Jersey, but I think it's more likely he goes to Buffalo. I like what the Devils have in their goaltending with Schmid and Vanacek, but I still think Vanacek has to learn how to play more games and just handle that pressure. But I think the way they play in that system, they're only going to improve. But Tom Fitzgerald has been known for making moves, and it's just one of those things that I can only think about, but it's hard to predict. For those of you who know me, this podcast is on Anchor.fm, now called Spotify for podcasters. If you'd like to support the show, go give us a 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Hell, we're on freaking Amazon Music. Look for this podcast on Google searches, and we're on freaking Gyro Savan, and we're also in a bunch of numerous countries. And I apologize for, any downtime. Yes, it's the summer, but we do have, this beautiful thing called summer vacation. It feels really good to sometimes relax a little bit, but also digest in some hockey stuff. Before building the episode, I really think about what has happened this offseason, and going in, it's been almost 5-6 seasons I've been doing this, and I really enjoy talking to you really good people And this is also on YouTube. Thanks to Spreaker helping me upload this. It makes it a whole lot easier for me to send it on YouTube so you can listen wherever you are in the world and tell me where you're from and tell me what you like and don't like about each episode and be upfront. Don't, beat around the bush, as my mom would say, or don't give it a song and a dance. Just like I always want to hear, tell me what you believe straight up. And for those of you who wonder, I'm also on Twitter, but you can also find me on Instagram, _Joe of Jersey, Jersey. And my Twitter handle is at JerseyJoe11 _NJ. So don't be afraid to follow me there on my LinkedIn, on my Linktree page, and whatever you want to do. And hopefully you have a wonderful episode with me. And I look to do more collaborations with more fellow podcasters and whatnot. So thank you for listening in. I'm very grateful. Have a wonderful summer and a wonderful day. Talk to you sometime next week. Thank you.
With the first pick overall, the New Jersey Devils are proud to select from the U.S. program, Jack Hughes.
Let's go, baby! Let's go.